Have you ever wondered, what if people didn't really love you? They just loved your compliance. Have you realized that time you said, don't worry about it, it's fine, but it wasn't fine? That time you wanted to say no, but didn't. That time you wanted to ask for what you needed, but instead, you chose being nice again. You told yourself it was kindness. But Nietzsche warned, if your kindness costs you your soul, it's not kindness. Here's the truth. You were not kind. You were afraid. Afraid of being disliked. Afraid of being called difficult. Afraid that if you speak the truth, you'll lose them. So you shrink. You soften your words. You apologize when you're the one bleeding. And somewhere deep down, you resent it. But you keep doing it anyway, because being needed feels safer than being respected. Nietzsche once wrote, the weak are always forced to lie, to be kind, to be pleasing. He wasn't attacking you. He was exposing the trap. You've mistaken survival for virtue. You thought if you're good enough, selfless enough, patient enough, someone will finally see you. But all they see is someone who doesn't ask for much, someone they can use. So let's rip it open. Let's talk about what you're really doing when you choose kindness over truth, and why it always costs you more than you think. Ready to meet the version of you that doesn't flinch? Then keep watching. We're going to war with the fear that wears your smile. Nietzsche talked about this thing he called slave morality. It's brutal. Slave morality is when the powerless start calling their fear virtue. It's when you can't say what you really want, so you pretend you never wanted it. It's when you swallow your anger and tell yourself it's emotional maturity. It's when being liked matters more than being whole, and it's not free. Every time you overextend yourself to be nice, every time you praise someone you secretly resent, every time you bite your tongue instead of speaking your truth, you're paying in dignity. You don't get angry anymore. You get exhausted. You don't say no. You say maybe, and hope they get the hint. And in that quiet moment after, when no one's watching, you hate that you didn't stand up for yourself. Again, you feel hollow, like you just traded a piece of yourself for a temporary sense of safety. Kindness like this is violence against yourself. Nietzsche didn't invent this. He just dared to name it. He saw that the world rewards obedience and calls it morality, that people like you suffer silently, all while being praised for being so nice. But wait until you stare directly into that fear. Wait until you see what it's really made of. That's when everything changes. Because the next layer, it's not polite, it's not sweet, it's raw, and it's coming. You think you're kind, but really, you're terrified. And this fear has layers, a hierarchy, like chains, each one thinner, more invisible than the last. Let's explore them one by one. Scene 1, you get a text. Can you help me out? You want to say no. You're exhausted, but you say yes instantly. Why? Because you fear rejection. You're scared they'll think you're selfish, or worse, not useful, so you betray yourself. Again, scene 2, you're in a group chat. Someone shares something off, something that grates against your values. You want to speak. You almost type, then you delete, because you fear judgment. You tell yourself, it's not worth it, but deep down you know the truth. You're scared to be seen. Scene 3, you sit at dinner, listening to people talk over you. Again, your ideas, your stories, shrink mid-breath. You convince yourself, I'll let them shine, but it's not generosity. It's terror of your own power. You might not have experienced exactly these, but different variations might have played out in your own life. This is the fear hierarchy: rejection, judgment, visibility, and at the bottom of it all, the fear of becoming who you truly are. Nietzsche saw this. He said, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe, but most people, they never struggle. They surrender. They become echoes, pleasant, agreeable, and hollow. You live not by your will, but theirs. You've traded the will to power, your birthright to carve your own life, for the will to please. You shapeshift, soften, shrink, all to fit into a world that would never choose you if you stood tall. Here's what it costs. Your energy becomes currency for validation. Your peace becomes collateral. And worst of all, your sense of self erodes, drip by drip. You wore that smile so long, you forgot it was a mask. Because that smile, it was sculpted by fear. And yet this is just the descent, the beginning of the unraveling. Wait until the mask shatters. Wait until you scream into the void and realize no one ever really saw you. And that's when the abyss opens and you can't unsee what's inside. It's the early hours. Your room is dark, but your thoughts are loud. You're lying in bed, eyes wide open. Your jaw aches from clenching fake smiles all day. Your phone is face down. The only messages in there are asking for pieces of you. Again, you want to scream, but screaming feels useless when no one really hears you anyway. You've given and given and given, and now you feel hollow, like kindness carved out the core of you and left only a performance behind. This is the breakdown they don't talk about, not the dramatic collapse, but the slow erosion, the 1,000 tiny betrayals of yourself until there's nothing left to betray. And then it hits you, those you were kind to because you were afraid of being seen as bad, those you said yes to because your no felt like you were rejecting them, those you avoided conflict with, but deep down in your heart you knew it was necessary. They never loved you, not really. They loved who you were for them. They loved your compliance, your softness, your patience, your endless yes. Not your truth, not your power, just the parts of you that made their lives easier. Because if you ever said no, if you ever showed your teeth instead of your smile, they'd recoil. They'd call you cold, selfish, difficult. They needed you weak, because your weakness gave them control. And suddenly, Nietzsche's words cut deeper than ever. In the end, one loves one's desire, and not what is desired. They didn't love you. They loved what they could take from you. So now the question stands, raw and unrelenting. Will you keep playing the saint, or will you finally meet yourself? Because that mask is breaking. Your world is burning, and from these ashes, something ruthless, something honest, is waiting to rise. Rebirth is next, but only if you choose it. It starts with a word so small, it feels ridiculous. 2 letters. But when you finally say it, it shakes the ground beneath your feet. No. Not an apology wrapped in excuses, not a half-hearted maybe, a full stop, a boundary. You feel your heart pounding, palms sweat, your voice trembles, because this isn't just a word, it's a revolution. You said no to dinner with the friend who drains you. You said no to carrying someone else's emotional mess. You said no, and for once didn't explain yourself. And then silence, no explosion, no lightning strike, just this lightness, a strange kind of peace, the weight of your false self slipping off your shoulders. This is the beginning of your rebirth. And Nietzsche, he wasn't after saints or martyrs. He imagined something else, something dangerous, something free, the Übermensch. See, Nietzsche's Übermensch isn't some shining saint. He's the anti-hero who steps beyond good and evil as society defines it. He doesn't act out of fear or out of what will people think. He acts from truth, from power. Kindness now becomes a choice, not a reflex, not a shield. And you test every act with 3 brutal questions. Is this choice coming from fear or from strength? Am I doing this to avoid guilt or to express truth? Would I still do this if no one praised me for it? That's your daily litmus test. You're not trying to be the better person anymore. You're trying to be a real one. Because as Nietzsche said, Only those who've said no to everything false can say yes to anything real. That's the paradox. You strip away the fake to find what was always real underneath. But here's the truth no one warns you about. Those who are trying to manipulate and control you for their gain begin to reveal themselves. The moment you change, the world pushes back. People start to guilt trip you. What happened to the sweet you? Your kindness was never questioned. Your strength will be. And this is where most people break again. Because being reborn isn't enough. You have to hold the line. You have to be firm. And next we'll ask the question that haunts even the strongest. Will the world ever accept the real you? Or will you walk alone? That's the final test. Let's stop pretending. The world doesn't need more soft smiles covering clenched teeth. It doesn't need one more person saying yes when they mean no. It doesn't need more nice. The world needs whole people, not more kind ghosts. So here's your line in the sand. The next time you pause before saying or doing something nice, ask yourself, who am I doing this for? Who's holding the leash? Fear, guilt, the aching need to be liked. If it's not you, don't do it. That moment of hesitation is your battlefield, and your weapon is awareness. Nietzsche didn't whisper his message, he screamed it into the void. Become who you are, not who they told you to be. Not the watered-down version that makes everyone comfortable. You. And if you dare to become that, really become it, you'll lose things, you'll lose people, you'll lose the mask. But what you gain, you'll walk with your spine straight. You'll speak with weight. You'll finally belong to yourself. And when you do, that's when you're ready for the next phase. Since you're still here, you've already begun. So, if you're ready to stop being nice and start being real, write it. Type in the comments, I will be real, and I reclaim my power. Type it out. Claim it. Let this be the first public act of your power. Hit subscribe, because this is just the start. In the next video, we'll learn how to channel this power into fearless compassion without folding, faking, or flinching. See you there.